This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia, and for today's show, we're going to be talking some basketball. We're going to be talking Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk about Thursday Night Football. Wait, who's even playing that Thursday Night Football game? Let me double check it right here. I legit have not seen any commercials or advertising for the game on Thursday. I know the Falcons and Bucks play Monday night, and we got a couple of Saturday games, but not sure exactly who plays Thursday. Let me check right here. I'm pulling it up. Be patient. We got the Broncos at Colts. Oh, that's going to be a boring... Who comes up with these Thursday night football games? I mean, really? You're really going to give us Denver versus the Colts? I mean... I know they come up with these games in the beginning of the season, decide which ones to put on prime time, which ones not to, but I don't understand why you're even thinking about putting the Broncos or Colts on Thursday Night Football. Beginning of the season, we knew who the Broncos quarterback was going to be. It was either going to be Brock Osweiler or Trevor Siemian. And as far as the Colts go, we knew Andrew Luck wasn't going to be ready. I mean, maybe they're thinking he would be back by this time, but I mean, really, we got Jacoby Brissett versus Trevor Siemian. That's who the Broncos are going to be throwing out there. I mean, come on now. Really? This is why no one likes Thursday Night Football. Okay? Because we don't get the Patriots versus the Steelers on Thursday night. We get that on Sunday. We don't get Philly versus the Rams on Thursday. We get that on Sunday. You know what we get on Thursday? We get 40-0 blowouts, Baltimore versus Miami. And then we get games like the Bucks versus whoever, or just terrible games. So, I mean... The NFL really needs to get rid of these Thursday night games. I know I said I was going to talk about the NBA, but yeah, just the NFL needs to get rid of these Thursday night games, all right? I mean, me personally, on Thursdays, I'm watching the NBA on TNT. They put the best games on Thursday nights for the NBA, yeah, constantly every week, okay? The NFL just gives us two teams here you go, here's your football fix. So, I mean, I don't know, dude, they really need to switch it up. We'll talk more about Thursday night football probably in the next segment. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next segment. But for this one, we're going to go over the scores from yesterday. I know I think I got 3 picks wrong yesterday, of course. But, basketball is always that difficult thing to predict. So let's get into it right now. Hold on. Let me pull those up. All right, first game. We had Atlanta. They headed into Cleveland. Cleveland, of course, won that one, 123-114. Let's see. Schroeder had 14 points, 5 assists, shot 6 of 15. Prince, he had 24 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. He shot 8 of 10. Kent Bazemore had 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 7 of 13, also 6 of 10 from the three-point line. And Ilyasova had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 of 11 shooting, and 1 of 4 from the three-point line. As for those Cleveland Cavaliers, you had Kevin Love with 17 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 5 from the three-point line. Jay Crowder, 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field. LeBron had 25 points, 17 assists, 7 rebounds. Shot 11 of 13 in the game, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And before I even get into anything else, looks like LeBron's three-point shooting has gotten a whole lot better this year than it has in recent years. And I'm just pretty much, I don't have the stats to back that up or anything like that, but I just been thinking I've been seeing this guy and pretty much been reading this, pretty much just been reading the scores and stuff like that. And it seems like he's been playing a whole lot better as far as shooting the ball from the three-point line. So we'll see if that's just a phase or if he's going to be able to keep it up. But Jose Calderon had 14 points, 4 assists, shot 5 of 7, 4 of 5 from the three-point line. Not a good game from J.R. Smith, only 3 points. He had 8 assists, though. He shot 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. As for off the bench, we had Kyle Korver with 19 points. He shot 6 of 11, 6 of 9 from the three-point line. And then Jeff Green, who's been having a quietly good season. 17 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 7 of 12, and 0 of 3 from the three-point line. Once again, the Cavs won that one 123-114. The first game I got wrong was the Denver Nuggets and Detroit Pistons game. Should have just figured that Detroit was going to go ahead and lose their 7th straight because it's Detroit, but, I had to pick them. And Denver won this one, 103-84. Wilson Chandler, 18 points, 4 rebounds, shot 6 of 11, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Jamal Murray, 28 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 11 of 19 from the field, 4 of 8 from the three-point line. Will Barton only had 4 points, played 34 minutes. He had 10 assists and 6 rebounds, though. He shot 2 of 5, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. And Gary Harris did not have a good shooting game. Only 8 points, had 9 assists, 6 rebounds, but shot 3 of 10 and 0 of 3 from the three-point line. As for the Detroit Pistons, you had Tobias Harris with a bad game, probably worst game he's played so far this season. Only 2 points, 1 assist, 8 rebounds, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. Played 30 minutes in this one. Let's see, Andre Drummond, only 5 points, 10 rebounds, 1 of 4. Let's see. Ooh, these stats are terrible for the Pistons. The one that broke 80, they only scored 84 points. Reggie Jackson, only 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 10 from the field. And Avery Bradley also had a bad game. 6 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 1 from the three-point line. So, yeah, Detroit got blown out 103-84, and they fooled us all. They had us thinking, oh, yeah, Detroit's going to be for real. They're going to be a good team. Of course, no one thought they'd be in the Eastern Conference Finals or anything like that, or competing with the Celtics and Cavs come playoff time. But, they beat the Celtics in the regulars a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think it was, and they were 14-6 at the time, 2nd seed in the East, and then they think back to themselves, you know what, we're the Detroit Pistons. This isn't what we do. So they go back on a 7-game losing streak, and here they are at 14-13. So Detroit might even, I don't know, I don't get Detroit, but Denver's now 15-12, and once again, they beat down on Detroit 103-84. As for this next game, it was probably the best game of the night. It was the Lakers facing off with the Knicks in New York. New York won this one 113-109. Larry Nance only had 5 points, 9 rebounds in this one, played 26 minutes, shot 2 of 4. Brandon Ingram had a bad game, 5 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 of 12 shooting in 41 minutes. Brook Lopez, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Lonzo Ball had a decent game yesterday. Actually, I don't even know. For Lonzo Ball, the guy doesn't score much, right? And he usually misses most of his shots. So what did we consider a good game for him and a decent game? All right, because he's the number 2 pick. So I was thinking that him scoring 17 points, having 8 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 6 of 13, that's pretty decent. But actually, you know what? For Lonzo Ball standards, that's a great game, I guess, just based off of how he's been playing. So I guess I can consider that a great game for Lonzo. But I don't know. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 8 of 20 in the game, 4 of 14 from the three-point line. Julius Randle, 13 points, 4 rebounds, shot 6 of 11. Kyle Kuzma had 19 points off the bench, 6 rebounds, 8 of 17 shooting, and 3 of 6 from the three-point line. And Jordan Clarkson had 12 points and 6 rebounds in that one also. But once again, New York won that one 113-109. Ooh, I got to read off the Knicks stats. I forgot. Yeah, Kristaps Porzingis, he had 37 points, 11 rebounds. He shot 14 of 26 in that game, 5 of 8. Pretty much did whatever he wanted against the Lakers. They really had nothing to, just really nothing that could stop him. So he had a really good game. And then you had Enes Kanter with 14 points, 11 rebounds. He shot 7 of 10. And Courtney Lee, he had 10 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. And he shot 5 of 17. Also, I did not know that Jarrett Jack was still in the league. I remember Jarrett Jack when he was playing for the Warriors. He plays for the Knicks. He started yesterday. He had 3 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 1 of 6 in 26 minutes. So, as far as assists and rebounds go, good game, but he didn't really shoot the ball well. But, yeah, just going back to what I was saying, I completely forgot that Jarrett Jack was even in the league. I thought he was done. I thought he retired when he was with the Nets. I'm not even sure if there was another team that he played for after the Nets or if he just went straight from the Nets, left the league for a couple of years, and then came to the Knicks, unless he's just been quietly playing on teams and I didn't even notice, because I remember last time I really remember him was when he was playing for the Warriors right before they started winning championships. That guy was playing really good on that team too, and then like I said, they got rid of him or he left. I think he went to, did he go to Cleveland or did he go to Brooklyn first? I can't remember, but he went to one of those teams first, and it pretty much was never the same after he left the Warriors. So, yeah, just pretty surprising that Jarrett Jack is on an NBA team. I texted one of my friends yesterday. I was like, dude, you know Jarrett Jack? The guy's alive, and he's playing professional basketball still. And it was just crazy to see. Really, there's one player I was really surprised to see. It's sort of like Jody Meeks, too. Jody Meeks, I remember him playing for the Lakers when they were going up against the Celtics from 2008 to 2010. I know in 2009 it was the Magic versus the Lakers, but it should have been Celtics if Garnett wouldn't have got hurt. It's a conversation for a different day, though. But, yeah, I just remember Jody Meeks. That's an older player in the league. Who else? There's a couple of dudes in the league who are still messing around, but you don't really remember because you really wouldn't think that they're in the league anymore. I can't really think of anybody. I know Jody Meeks and Jared Jack right now got to be the top two off the two off of the top of my head. But yeah, it's just crazy to see Jared Jack is still out here playing basketball professionally for the Knicks. But yeah, nonetheless, the Knicks won that one, like I said, 113-109. As for the Washington Wizards, they headed into Brooklyn. I got this pick wrong, of course. Brooklyn won this one, 103-98. Marcus Morris, 6 points, 1 rebound, shot 3 of 5 in 19 minutes. Otto Porter still needs John Wall, only 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 13. Martin Gortat, is it Marcin or Martin? I'm not sure. Either way, it's Gortat. He had 5 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 1 of 2 in 18 minutes. Tim Frazier, the man that's been starting since John Wall's been out, he had 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 2 of 4. Bradley Beal, 28 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 11 of 33 from the field, 0 of 7 from the three-point line. Looked like me at the park after a whole day. But let's see, as for the Nets, we got Damari Carroll with 15 points, 8 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, 16 points, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 9. Tyler Zeller, 12 points, 8 rebounds. The Zeller, are they twins or are they just brothers? The Zellers, like, I don't know, like, they're not really, like, either way, if they're twins or just regular brothers, doesn't matter to me, but, they're not, like, the most athletic or anything like that, but it's just weird how they're able to, like, to pretty much build a career. Because I remember when Tyler Zeller was playing for the Celtics and, like, the guy couldn't play defense really at all. He was good in his mid-range shot, but that was just about it. I mean, was that what it takes to stay in the league? A mid-range shot? I mean, I'll go out and I'll practice right now. I could be like, I'm only 5'5", 5'6" if I'm wearing the right shoes. So if I work on my mid-range, maybe I can make it. But let's see, anyone else notable on the Nets? We got Alan Crabb, 13 points, 3 of 15 shooting, 3 of 14 from the three-point line. You know, shoot. You got to keep taking your shots. You're only going to get out of that slump if you keep shooting. So, I mean, he didn't get out of his, obviously. He took 15 shots from the field, and 14 of them were from the three-point line. So, yeah, keep hurting your team, but it doesn't matter, I guess, since they won. He had 5 rebounds also. As for this next game, we had the San Antonio Spurs heading into Dallas. Kawhi Leonard's first game back. I picked the Spurs, so you know what they did? They went out and lost. Dallas won this one 95-89. LaMarcus Aldridge, 23 points, 13 rebounds, shot 9 of 23. Kawhi Leonard in his first game back, 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 12, 1 of 4 from the three-point line in only 16 minutes. So, I mean, a really good game from him, and it's looking like once he starts getting going, gets back into it, he's going to be playing a whole lot better. Pretty much going to return to the Kawhi that we all know and love. Paul Gasol, solid 0 points. In 22 minutes, he had 9 rebounds, though. Shot 0 of 2, 0 of 1 from the three-point line. Tony Parker, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Also shot 3 of 9 from the field, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Danny Green, 3 points, 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Let's see, Dirk, did he do anything? He did not. Dirk is an old man, and it's just sad to see. I look at his stats every time I'm reading the games, dude, and it's just Dirk, 10 points, 6 points, just not doing it. Go retire, Dirk. He had 6 points, though, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot 1 of 8, 0 of 1 from the three-point line. Harrison Barnes had 17 points. 6 rebounds, 8 of 17 from the field, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Harrison Barnes, ever since he left the Warriors, no one really cares about him. The guy's been having good seasons, like back-to-back good seasons. So, I mean, the guy's getting played and he's playing well. I mean, Dallas has their small forward for the future, and Harrison Barnes, obviously, that's one guy you don't really have to worry about. But Yogi Ferrell, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, shot 7 of 14, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And Wesley Matthews had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 of 15, and 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Let's see, anything from the bench from these teams? Oh, yeah, Rudy Gay, I forgot for the Spurs. He had 21 points, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 11, and 2 of 2 from the three-point line. And that's pretty much all that was notable. Next game up, Philly versus the Timberwolves. I was watching this game too. I was watching the Knicks and Lakers game yesterday when I was finishing up the podcast. I think it was like the football one I was finishing up. But I was watching this one too when I got home, the Philadelphia 76ers game and the Timberwolves game. And like this game was close at the end, right? And these teams are going back and forth. And you know what I noticed? Minnesota has terrible fans. It's like as if the game, like Minnesota was like down by 10 points or whatever. Like they weren't even booing. It was just complete silence. Like there was no fans getting hyped up after Jimmy Butler hit back-to-back threes. One to bring it. I think one took the lead, and then the Sixers came back and scored, and then Butler comes back again, shoots another 3, and ties it up for overtime. And like I said, just these fans were not like into it at all. I feel like I was watching, I was like, this is like this game is like dead right here. I mean, these teams are going back and forth. Okay, you got Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid doing their thing. JJ Redick's out here making shots. Then you got Jimmy Butler out here playing like a top 10 player in the league. Karl Anthony Towns out here getting boards. Andrew Wiggins even hit a late shot. And it's like just the fans were not getting into it at all. They were just sitting down, just watching a game of basketball, choosing not to cheer. So it's just really weird to me. But let me read off these stats. Actually, let me read off the score one more time. So Philly won that one, 118-112 in overtime. Let's see, JJ Redick, 26 points, 6 of 15 shooting, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. Joel Embiid, 28 points, 8 assists, 12 rebounds, 8 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 from the three-point line. Ben Simmons didn't score too many points at all, 7 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 8. Dario Saric hit some clutch threes in the fourth quarter too. He had 14 points, 8 rebounds, shot 5 of 10, 3 of 8 from the three-point line. As for the Timberwolves, you had Taj Gibson, 7 points, 2 assists, 12 rebounds, 3 of 9 from the field. Andrew Wiggins, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot 8 of 24 from the field, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. That guy's just like Marcus Smart. Pretty much does everything else well, but just can't shoot the ball to save his life. Then you had Karl Anthony Towns, 19 points, 2 assists, 16 rebounds, shot 6 of 16, didn't hit a 3 in that one. Jeff Teague had a good game, 17 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound, 8 of 14 from the field. And Jimmy Butler went off yesterday, 38 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 15 of 13 from the field, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. And like I said, he had some clutch threes at the end of the fourth quarter, but nonetheless did not matter because Philly came out with the win in overtime. And for this final game, we had the Phoenix Suns heading into Sacramento. Sacramento won that one 99-92. TJ Warren had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 24, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. Tyler Ulis, 10 points, 3 rebounds, had a shot 3 of 8, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Josh Jackson, 7 points, 5 rebounds, only shot 3 of 14 from the field. Not a good game from him, obviously. As for the Kings, you had Zach Randolph with 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 7 of 14. George Hill, 18 points, shot 6 of 9, also had 7 rebounds. De'Aaron Fox played 21 minutes, had 7 points, 2 rebounds, shot 3 of 5, hit 1 3. As for the bench, you had Willie Cauley-Stein with 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 12. Frank Mason only 6 points, 2 of 8 from the field, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And Buddy Hield had 14 points, shooting 6 of 14 from the field and 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Once again, that's it for the scores right there. Usually I pick the games. Usually I pick the games after I read off the scores from the night before, but I'm actually going to save that for the last segment. We'll do that then. Next up, we're going to talk some Thursday night football between the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. I'll probably talk about a little bit how I don't like Thursday night football. I know I did that a couple weeks ago on a podcast, but we'll see if I have any other new thoughts. And then what else are we going to do? We're going to talk Aaron Rodgers later on in the third segment, pretty much anything else going on in the NFL also. See what it means for the Packers, for him coming back. Obviously, it's good. We'll talk about that whole wild card race, and maybe we'll talk about the AFC wild card race and pretty much anything else going on in the AFC too in that third segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
GSMC Sports Podcast. In that last segment, we recapped the NBA games from what was yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday night, we talked about those games, talked a little bit about each game, talked about LeBron, his three-point shooting, how it's been getting better. So the Cavs now, I think they are, I think they should be around maybe 2 games back of the first seed in the East right now. Right now, the Celtics obviously hold that spot. And let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. Come on. Here we go. Pulling it up. We got it right here. All right, yeah, so the Cavs right now, they are 2.5 games back of the Celtics. Right now, the Celtics are 23-6. Cleveland's 20-8. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. I'm not talking about Boston being in first or Cleveland being in second. I mean, it can go either way, but I'm talking about those are going to be the two teams competing for the number 1 seed in the East because Toronto's not going to win it. Milwaukee's not good enough yet to win it. I keep trying to call them Indianapolis. I don't know why. But Indiana, they're a good story, and we're going to talk a little bit about them in the last segment, actually, talking about how they gave up next to nothing for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. We'll talk about that. But, like I said, it's going to be between Boston and Cleveland for that number 1 seed. And right now, Cleveland's starting to close up the gap. Should Boston be worried? Probably not, because as we've known, the regular season really doesn't matter, but nonetheless, you always want to finish first. So we'll see how it all ends up. But I was going to talk Thursday Night Football for this segment. I'm going to switch it up on you guys real fast. I'm going to talk Aaron Rodgers coming back and pretty much talk about how the Green Bay Packers make the playoffs, talk about the NFC wildcard, probably talk a little about the playoffs going on in the AFC, talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, talk about that AFC wildcard, and then, like I said, for that third segment, we'll actually be talking Thursday Night Football, and then for the last segment of the show, we'll talk some more NBA, talk about the games. I think there's some English Premier League games going on right now, so I'll give the scores for those, but let's get into this segment right now, all right? So Aaron Rodgers, I've been talking about the last few weeks, week 15, him coming back, and now Rodgers is officially back, okay? Green Bay Packers, let me pull up the standings as I'm talking, but the Green Bay Packers right now, they're 7-6. Right now, the team in the 6th spot in the NFC right now is the Atlanta Falcons. They're currently 8-5. Seattle's 8-5. Seattle's in number 7 at 8-5. Detroit's 8th at 7-6. Then you got Green Bay at 9th at 7-6. And then you got Dallas, who I don't think we should sleep on Dallas either. They're currently 7-6, and they play Sunday night in Oakland against the Raiders. And we'll pretty much talk about each team and their chances, I guess, for making this wild card. So let's get into it right now. I'm not going to talk about Carolina, all right, because they're 9-4 right now, and I have really no doubts that they're going to make the playoffs. I think I'm going to go ahead and just to pretty much boost up my Aaron Rodgers and Packers making the playoffs argument. Let's go ahead and say that the Panthers go ahead and lose this week. Either way, that's a game that they can afford to drop because all the other teams behind them are 1 game back. And then the Panthers still got the Buccaneers and Falcons, which I think they could beat the Falcons. So I think if the Panthers go 2-3 out of these next 3 games right here, or their last 3 games, I think that they're going to make the playoffs and really won't have to worry. So yeah, I'm going to say Carolina makes the playoffs. So we're not going to talk about them much for this segment right here. But then you got Atlanta, okay? Atlanta's 8-5. And like I said, I expect them to lose to the Panthers in Week 17. They got the Bucks. They should win that game. Okay, boom, that's 9-5 right there. Then they got the Saints. I'm going to call that a loss for the Falcons, which makes them 9-6. And then I think they're going to lose to the Panthers, which makes them 9-7, all right? Because it's going to be the last week of the season. And Atlanta just loves to break their fans' hearts when it comes to the big time. So yeah, Atlanta, I have them finishing 9-7, all right? And then you got Seattle, who's got a tough couple of games left. They got the Rams, and then the Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott back, and then you got the Cardinals Week 17. So the Seahawks right now, they just came off of a loss to the Jaguars, 30-24. Russell Wilson threw 3 picks in that one, also did throw 3 touchdowns, but doesn't matter because they lost, okay? So then next up against the Seahawks, they're playing against the Rams. They're playing in Seattle. So that's an advantage they have right there. Seattle's favored by 1.5 right now. And I don't get why this game's on at 1. Like this should be a prime time game right here, but I don't know. We should have put this one on. Yeah, we should have put this one on Thursday night instead of the Broncos and Colts. I mean, man, I still can't even think about how bad that game's going to be. But yeah, so you got the Rams heading into Seattle. And I'm not sure who to pick in this one because I really like the Rams right now, but it's December and it's Russell Wilson, so I mean it could go either way. But let's say Seattle wins that one, then that's pretty much going to mess everything up. The Rams will be 9-5, Seattle will be 9-5. Let's see, how do these teams do against each other early on in the season? Let's see. All right, so Seattle beat them 16-10. So all right, so yeah, this is a must-win for the Rams right here. If they don't win, then Seattle's going to have sole possession of the division just because they'll have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and then they got Dallas, like I said, next week, and that might be a loss for Seattle right there, them playing in Dallas because the Dallas Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott is a completely different team. Dak Prescott actually looks like a good quarterback, all right? Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best running backs in the league, probably the second best. I'd put Le'Veon Bell ahead of him. And then pretty much just opens up the entire offense when Ezekiel Elliott's back there because now you have a whole other thing to worry about. So, I mean, Seattle's probably going to lose that game, and then they'll beat the Cardinals. So what is that? That's 10-6, and that's good enough to make the playoffs right there. But like I said, they'll probably be winning the division. If the Rams finish the Rams finish up tied with someone in the wild card. I don't think the Rams hold the tiebreaker for that one. I was seeing something somewhere on Twitter, I think, saying how they need to win out, or at least beat Seattle in order to have a good shot at winning the division. So we'll see about that. As for Detroit, you got them playing the Bears, the Bengals, and the Packers. I got them beating the Bears and the Bengals, which puts them at 9-6. But I got them beating the Packers, which makes them 9-7. So they're out. And then back to the Green Bay Packers. All right, so they're 7-6. Aaron Rodgers is back, and since he's been gone, the Packers went 3-4. Brett Hundley sometimes played like he was an actual NFL quarterback. Sometimes he played like he was had no business being out there. I mean, there was a couple of games he threw for less than 100 yards, I believe. So, I mean, he did good, though, to keep the Packers still in the race. I mean, yeah, like I said, they're 7-6 right now, and now with Rodgers back, this is a completely different team. Everyone's talking around the NFL right now, talking about how if the Packers make the playoffs, then that's a Super Bowl contender right there. And you know what? Because the Packers, they got the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Lions. Okay, if Aaron Rodgers comes back and he beats those three teams, that means that, without a doubt, the Packers are Super Bowl contenders, but not only that, that means that Aaron Rodgers is fine and healthy, because if he's coming out here and he's beating three of the, I don't want to say top teams. I mean, the Vikings are the top team in the NFC, the Panthers are a great team in their division, and the Lions are a good team too. So, I mean, I'm not going to try and overstate it talking about how they're going to be beating the top teams or anything like that. I mean, besides the Vikings, but I mean, these are all three good teams right here, okay? So if Rodgers comes out and beats all three of them in a row, and then, like I said, makes the playoffs, I mean, they'd be playing the St. Louis, or not the St. Louis Rams, the LA Rams or the Seahawks, and I got the Packers against either of those teams, especially against the Rams. I know the Rams are a great team right now, and they got the best offense in the league and one of the better defenses in the league, but I mean, playoffs is a whole different story. And when you're going up a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's won a Super Bowl and pretty much has been the best quarterback in the league for the last 3-4 years. I know Tom Brady, we like to think that he is, but I'd more consider him, he's just the top quarterback of all time. But as of right now, skill level and talent, it's Aaron Rodgers without a doubt. Okay, because the stuff Rodgers does, Brady can't do. I promise you that. Brady can't roll out like Rodgers does, throw on the run like Rodgers does. Brady, he shrinks when pressure gets to him. So, yeah, Rodgers right now is just a more talented quarterback. And just like I was saying, I mean, if you get Rodgers out here winning 3 games in a row, making the playoffs, then there's really no one that could beat them besides the Saints, I guess you could say. Because if the Packers and Saints make the playoffs, then that would be my NFC Championship pick right there. But those two playing each other, and then hopefully it'd be the Packers winning that one and facing off with the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Because like I've been saying, I really want to see Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers once in the Super Bowl. It's almost like that little Kobe versus LeBron type of thing that we never got in the finals. I mean, imagine if we got to see those two go up against each other. That'll been one of the highest rated finals of all time, probably one of the better played finals of all time, and just pretty much just amazing, So hopefully we get that with Rodgers and Brady. But like I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough either way for the Packers to win, because the Panthers are no pushover, and they're playing the Panthers in Carolina. Then they're playing the Vikings on December 23rd. Is that a Thursday or is that a Sunday night game? Let me see. Or is that a Saturday? Yeah, so they're playing actually the Vikings on Saturday night on the 23rd at 5:30. And then, like I said, they got the Lions, and it's going to be tough. I think their toughest game is going to be against the Panthers. I think they will be able to beat the Vikings because they'll be in Lambeau, and that'll be Rodgers' first game back in Lambeau since he's been hurt. So, plus that's the whole, that was the team that injured Rodgers too, Anthony Barr, when he not even sacked Rodgers, he brought him down after Rodgers threw the ball. It wasn't like a dirty play or anything like that. It was just a freak injury that Rodgers got by breaking his collarbone. But yeah, you think, I'm sure Rodgers is going to be a little motivated for that game. Actually, not even a little, he's going to be completely motivated for that game, because as much as these players like to say, don't try not to worry about it, don't worry about the past, they're humans just like the rest of us. So he's going to be thinking about that game. He'll have that one game circled up on his calendar. So, I mean, I think that, like I said, the toughest game is going to be against the Panthers. They're going to have to figure out a way for that defense to limit Cam Newton from taking off, and they're going to have to worry about Jonathan Stewart, who broke off for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in his last game, I think it was, and Christian McCaffrey. You always got to worry about him, where he's going to line up, whether it's in the backfield or on the wide receiver position, because that guy's really versatile and he's good running his routes and he's pretty quick. So they're going to have to worry about that. So, I mean, if they don't get past the Panthers, then this whole Packers making the playoffs thing is done. They have no shot. You're going to need 10 wins to get into the playoffs at least. And like I said, if they don't beat the Panthers, then there's really nothing to talk about here. But hopefully they do. I'm not sure who I want to pick yet for that one. But just like I said, I mean, if they win these 3 games, then watch out for Green Bay and watch out for Aaron Rodgers, because he's going to be coming and looking for you, everyone. So, yeah, that's pretty much, is that it? I mean, we can talk about the Dallas Cowboys before I close out this segment, all right? So Dallas right now is 7-6. They got the Raiders, then they got, who do they got? Let me pull up their schedule real quick. I know they got the Raiders on Sunday night. And I'm not too sure how good of a game that's going to be. Not really looking forward to it at the very least. Let's see. We got Dallas right here. All right. So, yeah, Dallas has the Raiders, the Seahawks, and the Eagles. They can beat the Raiders. They can beat the Eagles. The Seahawks game, I think they can beat them too. I think their season really, it comes down to the Raider game on Sunday night, all right? Because they're going to be playing in Oakland. And, I mean, I know Seattle is the toughest game on their schedule, but I'm just putting it into my head right now that they're going to beat Seattle with Ezekiel Elliott coming back that week. All right, so say they beat the Raiders. That's 8-6 right there. Like I said, I already think they're going to beat the Seahawks with Zeke back. That's 9-6. And then I think that they're going to beat the Eagles week 17 in Philly since the Eagles are without Carson Wentz. So that's 10-6 right there. If Dallas gets into the playoffs, same thing with Green Bay. If Dallas gets in, that's a scary team right there. Last year, they played really well in the playoffs. It was just that their defense choked away the game on that last drive and let Aaron Rodgers drive all the way down on them for Mason Crosby to kick that game-winning field goal. So, I mean, if Ezekiel Elliott comes back and he's playing at the level that he should be, I mean, I know he took 6 games off, so it's going to be see if he's going to have a new rest or if he's going to come back on fire. But, yeah, when Ezekiel Elliott's back there, Dak Prescott plays like a totally different quarterback. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Right now, Green Bay and Dallas, I mean, no one's really talking about Dallas because everyone gave up on them like a few weeks ago. But, I mean, Dallas is the team you got to look out for, keep your eye on. Because if they beat the Raiders, then watch out for them. And then the same with the Packers. Those are probably the most 2 intriguing teams to me in the NFC wildcard race right now. Because if they finish 10-6, they all got good chances of making the playoffs. Let's see. Ooh, the Packers beat the Cowboys actually early on in the season. Not good head-to-head right there. So, I mean, in order for Dallas to win, I'm sure there's going to be some crazy 3-way tie for the 6th spot, so it's going to come down to conference record. So, I'm not sure what Dallas is right now, but they really need to pull out these last 3 games to have any chance. So, we'll see if they can. We'll see if they can't. But that's going to actually wrap it up for this segment. I know we said we're going to talk about the NFC, but we'll push that over to next segment, maybe even to the 4th segment, because I really want to talk a lot about the Thursday Night Football game. We're going to talk about the Colts, talk about the Broncos, talk about what they need to do in the offseason and all that stuff. So if we have time for the AFC, we'll mention them. If not, we'll just push that over to the 4th segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. If you missed that last segment, I need a quick reminder. We basically talked about Aaron Rodgers being back and pretty much talked about the whole NFC wildcard race. Like I said, I think the Panthers are locked to make the playoffs this season, and it's going to come down to the 6th spot. It's going to come down to Seattle, LA. I mean, obviously, one of those teams is going to win the division, but I mean, if Seattle wins next week, then I'm sure LA is going to have to be fighting for that playoff spot, and then it's going to come down to the Packers, the Cowboys, and the Falcons. But I think the Falcons are going to drop 2 out of their next 3, which is going to take them out of contention. So we'll see how it all ends up. But like I said, if the Cowboys, I was talking about yesterday or in the last segment, towards the end, I was talking about how if the Cowboys or Green Bay Packers make the playoffs, then watch out for them. They're going to be dangerous teams to deal with in the playoffs. I mean, like I said, Ezekiel Elliott coming back, that's one of the best running backs in the league, and then Aaron Rodgers coming back, obviously the best quarterback in the league as far as talent goes. So we'll see if they're able to pull it off. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of a miracle, and it's going to take some help, but it's not that far out there for those teams, one of those 2 teams to make playoffs. So we'll see how it all ends up, but let's talk some Thursday Night Football. Sorry, I got allergies, but let's see. So, yeah, Thursday Night Football. We got the Denver Broncos heading into Indianapolis, facing off with the Colts. And on paper, obviously, this does not look like a fun game to watch, all right? These teams have a combined 7 wins, 19 losses, and Denver's whole quarterback situation is about as bad as probably the worst quarterback situation in the league because, like, I mean, the Jets, they really didn't have, like, a true great quarterback. But, I mean, Josh McCown was out here doing the job. Now he's out here. Now he broke his hand, so he's out for the season. But it doesn't really matter anymore. And, like, the Broncos, like, they have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, all right? They have 3 of them. Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, and Brock Osweiler. And neither of them are good quarterbacks to say the least, all right? Maybe they can, like, have a successful career being backups. But, I mean, we've seen throughout the season that none of these guys can come out and be a true starter and actually keep their teams in games to win, all right? This is why the Denver Broncos defense has been so bad so far this season. Okay, the quarterback play has been so bad that, I mean, it's constant 3-and-outs, interceptions are just bad plays, you know? So when you're doing that constantly every game, you're going to keep your offense off the field for most of the time, and you're going to keep your defense on the field for pretty much the entire game because, like, honestly, if you score more than 14 points against the Denver Broncos, you're winning that game. Let alone, I mean, at a minimum, you score 10 points, you have a great chance to be in the Broncos. This team can't score points at all. Let me see if I can pull up their stats right here from the last few games. See if they're proving me right. All right, so yeah, I got it right here. Oh, against the Jets, actually, they put up 23. Ooh, thanks a lot, Jets. All right, yeah, so against Miami, they only scored 9. Against the Raiders, they only scored 14. Against the Bengals, they only scored 17. Against the Patriots, only 16. Scored 23 against the Eagles, but gave up 51. Only scored 19 against the Chiefs. Scored 0 against the Chargers. Scored 10 against the Giants. 16 against the Raiders. They won that one. Only 16 against the Broncos. Did I read that right? Did they really score 42 points against the Dallas Cowboys? Jeez Louise, what's wrong with Dallas? But yeah, they scored 42 against Dallas, 24 against the Chargers, and yeah, so right there. All right, so yeah, they had a couple of good games, but other than that, the last few weeks they've been terrible. Right? I'm not going to count that Jets game because the Jets are a bad team, and if you don't score any points, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I mean, they really struggled and scored more than 20 points. I know they scored 23 last week, but I was saying before the games before that, they really struggled to score at least 20, and against Miami, they only scored 9. So I mean, the Broncos right now, they're not a good team. I'm not sure what they're going to do with C.J. Anderson at the end of the year. I know they signed him to that big old contract because he was when he was a restricted free agent. But this year they really have been going by committee, pretty much splitting the carries between C.J. Anderson and Devontae Booker. And I mean, why are you going to pay a guy that much if you're just going to be using a committee in your backfield? So I mean, he might be gone after the season. I'm not too sure what the wide receiver situation is. I think they're both locked up on contracts, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. In reality, what this team needs is just a quarterback, right? They need an Eli Manning. Okay, like I know they're probably going to end up taking Josh Allen out of Wyoming in the draft, but I really don't like that at all. He's going to end up being another Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch, I feel. I mean, the guy's got like good mechanics and stuff like that, but I mean, so far this year for Wyoming, he hasn't played well. Okay, he hasn't been putting up stats like he should be, especially in a conference that Wyoming plays in. And just really hasn't been the quarterback that we all thought. I mean, because last year, before the season and the season before, everyone thought that Josh Allen maybe should have came out that year, but he chose to stay in school. And now with this season, like I said, he just hasn't been playing well. So I mean, John Elway just loves quarterbacks that play like in Memphis and Wyoming and all that. So he's gonna pick Josh Allen. I'm sure he's not gonna be able to end up with Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold, which is one of those. I mean, who knows? Maybe John Elway might even pick up Baker Mayfield in the draft, but I highly doubt it. I'm pretty set on the Broncos getting Josh Allen. I think that's what's gonna happen. But just like I said, they need a quarterback in the offseason. I mean, it's gonna come down to they're probably going to end up with Eli Manning, honestly. I don't think they're going to get Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's a chance that he goes there, but I want Kirk Cousins either like probably in Jacksonville. If you had to pick, if Kirk Cousins like had a choice of one, and like me, if where I wanted to see him, it'd be Jacksonville. Kirk Cousins in Jacksonville, that's an AFC Championship team right there, and possible Super Bowl contender. I don't think Kirk Cousins is that great of a quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but just with how great that team's defense is, and then you got Leonard Fournette back there, and then you have Allen Robinson coming back next year. D.D. Westbrook has been showing that he could play football well, and then Marquise Lee's been playing well also. So I mean, you got those weapons. I mean, you really don't have to do much. Just don't turn the ball over, and you'll win ball games. Because I'm sure we can all agree that Kirk Cousins is a whole lot better than Blake Bortles, but we'll see how it all ends up. But as for the Colts, I mean, like just pretty much talking about this game, it's not going to be a great one because you got Jacoby Brissett facing off with I think it's going to be Trevor Siemian, and this is probably going to be the least watched Thursday night football game of all time, I feel. I mean, like I said, the ratings for Thursday Night Football really haven't been high at all or anything like that. But it's just, I mean, you got the 3-10 Colts facing off with the 4-9 Broncos. The only thing they're really competing for is draft position. So I guess whoever loses technically kind of wins. But I mean, yeah, it's just not going to be a fun game. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he's not a bad quarterback or anything like that. I think he could be. He is a starter in this league, and I think the Colts should trade him in the offseason for some picks. Probably get like a 3rd or 4th round pick for him, I feel. And it's just. There's really not much you could say about this game. I mean, you got T.Y. Hilton. Honestly, I mean, if I had to make a pick for this game, I'm going with Indianapolis. I don't even know who to go with. I mean, Indianapolis' defense is bad, okay, but Denver's offense is bad too. And then Indianapolis, like the best part of their team is their offense, I guess you could say. But I mean, with Denver's defense really not playing too well, I mean, I don't even know who to pick in this game. This is going to be like one of those games where, man, this game's going to end up like 12-9, isn't it? It's going to be a 12-9 game. I really don't know what to say about this game, man. I mean, it's a game. It's when you get, like I say, when you get one bad team playing another bad team, you're going to have a bad game. There's really just nothing to look forward to in this game. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, T.Y. Hilton, you got him there, but I mean, I'm sure he's going to get shut down by those Denver corners. Frank Gore, maybe he can go out and have a good game, but I mean, Denver's defense pretty much shows up what they want to. And if Denver scores a touchdown in the first quarter, then you know Denver's defense is going to come out and try and play well, because that's pretty much the only chance they have right there. I mean, because you're not going to get more than 7 points. I mean, they really got to hold the Colts to really not score anything. But I mean, it's really going to be interesting how this game ends up. I mean, this is like a look forward type of game. You're going to be seeing what the Colts need in the offseason and what Denver needs in the offseason. Because as far as the Colts go, I mean, Andrew Luck, if he does come back next year, whenever that may be, he's going to be the starting quarterback. So like I said, they should get rid of Jacoby Brissett, or at least trade him. And hopefully Andrew Luck comes back in the beginning of the season. I mean, I think that the Colts, for some reason, they've never really fixed the running back position. I know they've had, like, since Edgerrin James, they've pretty much been like throwing fill-ins in there. I guess Frank Gore, I mean, that's not a guy for the future that you want on your team. Like the Colts, the way they've been running their front office has just been garbage since Peyton Manning left. They've been terrible. Andrew Luck is the only reason why that team has seen playoffs since Peyton Manning left, all right? Because Jim Irsay, I know for a fact the guy has no idea what he's doing. He's just out there pretty much just trying to be, dude's like a poor man's Jerry Jones. Whatever Jerry Jones is, that's what Jim Irsay wants to be. And I went on a rant about this a couple of weeks ago, I think about a month ago. But yeah, just like I'm saying, like Jim Irsay pretty much just wants to be what Jerry Jones is. And Jim Irsay just doesn't have half the football mind that Jerry Jones does in order to be like Jerry Jones. Jim Irsay is always in the news for the wrong reasons and stuff like that. So I remember when Andrew Luck went back down with his shoulder injury, went back to IR after trying to come out and practice. Tony Dungy came out and said on the Dan Patrick show that Jim Irsay said that it's all in Andrew Luck's head. And of course, with Tony Dungy saying that out loud on the radio for everyone else to hear, obviously that's going to be news. So yeah, like I said, it's just Jim Irsay really, just the guys he hires and all that, that hasn't worked out. All right, this defense has been terrible since what? Forever, I guess you could say. I mean, they had Bob Sanders playing safety for them, and really no one else. I mean, Dwight Freeney when he was playing well, Robert Mathis too, but I mean, the Colts never really had a solidified defense that kept him in games and pretty much took the burden off of Peyton Manning's shoulders. I mean, I think that's what the biggest problem has been with the Colts too. They've hit on 2 straight quarterbacks, Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, and those guys right there are quarterbacks that are going to make the players around them better. So they're going to hide a lot of the deficiencies that your team has as far as offensive line, running back. Okay, your wide receivers, doesn't matter who you throw out there because they're going to get the ball to them, and a professional wide receiver, so all I got to do is catch it. And then, like I said, they put up enough points to where the defense doesn't matter. So I think that's been the Colts' biggest problem. I mean, once these guys go like when Peyton Manning went down with his neck injury or whatever, I think it was like Jim Sorgi or whatever who came out and was the backup quarterback or someone like that. It was someone really bad. But yeah, they came out and this team couldn't win a game. All right, they weren't playing well at all, and they really had no chance. And it's like, okay, I understand like the quarterback's out and that's the most important position, but I mean, is the team really that bad around him to where he goes down and everything just pretty much goes up into flames? And it's supposed to, like I said, it's the same thing with Andrew Luck. Look at them this season. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's been playing well, but I mean, Andrew Luck, when he's out there, is a top 5 quarterback. And like I said, Jacoby Brissett, he's not a bad quarterback or anything like that. He just has no help around him. All right, he's got T.Y. Hill, and that's just about it. I mean, Dante Moncrief really isn't good second receiver or anything like that. Frank Gore, I mean, he's a good running back. That's a Hall of Famer right there, without a doubt. But I mean, he's past his prime, and then like that defense is just no good. So I mean, the Colts really just have nothing when their top 5 quarterback isn't out there, and that's on the general manager, that's on Jim Irsay, and it's not really on Chuck Pagano. I mean, I'm not sure really how much say he has in personnel decisions, but I mean, it just really hasn't worked out for them at all. So they really need to start like being smart and drafting and picking up actual decent players. They need to build up that offensive line. All right, they need a new receiver. I know T.Y. Hilton's out there, but you're going to need more than one good receiver, right? They need to start looking at the running back position. They need to fix up that defensive line. Okay, I know they had Malik Hooker, and he came down with a season-ending injury. So, I mean, you got one of the quarterback slots fit if he comes back. Or does he play safety? Either way, they pretty much need to fix everything on that team besides quarterback, and they even might need to just keep Jacoby Brissett just as a backup, just in case Andrew Luck goes down again. So, I mean, Colts really don't have much going for them. Neither do their Broncos. But, I mean, if I had to go and make a pick for this game, I'm going to go with Indianapolis. I think Jacoby Brissett, it's going to come down to whoever puts up more points, and I think Jacoby Brissett's a whole lot better than Trevor Siemian, so he's going to figure out a way. So, yeah, I got the Colts in Thursday night's game, but that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to talk some NBA, talk some English Premier League scores, and then maybe we'll talk about the AFC a little bit, but we'll talk about pretty much anything else going on in sports. I think the Cardinals just got the outfielder from the Marlins, Marcell Ozuna, so Derek Jeter's having a fire sale. So, yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff when we get back, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you in a moment.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
We talked about Thursday Night Football, and we talked about the Denver Broncos, what they need to do in the offseason. Pretty much, I didn't really spend too much time talking about the game because, I mean, there's really nothing to talk about. Both of these teams are terrible teams, and it's going to be one of the worst games. Like I said, it's going to be the lowest rated Thursday Night Football game probably that they've ever had on Thursday Night Football, and it's like there's just nothing. Like, you haven't been seeing any advertising for it, no commercials, really. At least I haven't. I mean, going into the show, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Thursday Night Football game. And I was about, like, who? Wait, who's playing tonight? Who's playing Thursday night? So, yeah, it's just really not a good game. So, I basically just talked about what these teams need to do in the offseason, talked about the Colts situation, said some mean things about Jim Irsay, and pretty much just talked about each team and why they're this bad and pretty much what they need to do. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe John Elway listens to the podcast and maybe Jim Irsay does, but see if they take my opinion. But as for this segment, we're going to go over the EPL scores real quick, the English Premier League scores, that is, and I'll make my picks for the NBA tonight. We'll talk maybe a little bit about the AFC, who knows, and pretty much anything else that's going on in the world of sports. So let's get into it. As for this first game in the EPL, you got Tottenham. They're winning 1-0 right now against Brighton Hove Albion. Liverpool's tied 0-0 at halftime with West Bromwich Albion. You got Everton beating Newcastle United 1-0. Leicester City is beating Southampton 3-0. Manchester City is winning 3-0 against Swansea City. Manchester United is beating Bournemouth 1-0. And Arsenal and West Ham are tied 0-0. So that's how the games are going right now. Let me recap the scores from yesterday's games. Yesterday you had Burnley, who beat Stoke City 1-0. You had Crystal Palace, who beat Watford 2-1. Crystal Palace actually scored 2 goals within the last 5 minutes of the game, so pretty exciting there. And then you had Chelsea, who beat Huddersfield Town 3-1. So that's how the games are going. These games going on right now are probably going to finish up within the next 45 minutes or so. But Let's see real quick. Let's go for the NBA games right now. Yeah, let's look at the NBA games going on for tonight. So you got the Nuggets playing the Celtics, and I'm gonna go with Boston in this one since they're playing at home. Yesterday, the Detroit Nuggets beat the Pistons. I think it was 103-84. I think I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what the score was. No Al Horford, no Marcus Morris in this one, but no Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets either. I think the Celtics are gonna do fine with Kyrie being back, so I got them winning in this one. Then you got the Thunder playing the Pacers, and look at that. Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis going to be playing their former team. Going to be a big game for them. But no, seriously, it's going to be Paul George's first game back in Indiana. And if I had to pick who's won that trade so far, it's the Pacers. Them getting Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George has worked out way better for the Pacers than it has for the Thunder. The Thunder are a bad team right now. They're 12-14. Right now, the Pacers are 5th seed in the East, 16-11. And Victor Oladipo is playing like one of the better players in the NBA right now as far as the season goes. I'm not saying that Victor Oladipo is a top 5 player or anything like that. Like, he's not better than Kawhi. He's not better than Steph. He's not better than LeBron. He's not better than Westbrook or any of those guys like James Harden, but I mean, he's playing like his stats are like a top, or probably one of the best in the league right now. The guy's just playing lights out. Let me see if I could get his points per game average right now. Let's see. You got let's see. Really, we don't have it up here. Let me see. Do we have it? We might. We don't. He's averaging around 24 points a game right now. And in this game, I think I'm going to go with the Pacers. I mean, it's going to be tough for the Thunder to be playing here. I know that the fans are going to be out here. Game's probably going to be sold out. The atmosphere is going to be good. They're going to be booing Paul George as they should. I mean, I'd boo him too. And it's pretty much... This is going to be pretty much the cherry on top right here for the Pacers. They won the trade so far. I mean, Sabonis and Oladipo are playing way better than Paul George is this season. And with a win right here, that'll push the Pacers to 17-11 and the Thunder to 12-15. The Thunder really got to figure it out. I think they should just trade Paul George before the trade deadline because there's not really much of a market for Melo. And yeah, I think that's what they should do because this team isn't built to go far in the playoffs at all. You have 3 great players, but they're all primary ball handlers and they all need the ball and they're all going to take bad shots because that's what they do. So they really need to figure it out. But like I said, I got the Pacers winning in this one. Let's see, as far as the Clippers and Magic go, this one's going to be played in Orlando. I'm going to go with the Clippers in this one. Clippers won, I think, their last 2 games. And actually, do I want to go with the Magic in this one? I think I'm going to go with the Oh, man, why is picking the NBA so difficult? I'm going to go with the Clippers. That's it. I'm just going to say I'm going with the Clippers. Yeah, that's it. That's my pick right there. As for this next game, you got the Grizzlies heading into Washington facing off with the Wizards. I got the Wizards winning in this one. I think. Yeah, I got the Wizards winning this one right now. The Grizzlies aren't playing good basketball. Marcus Gasol's been ineffective. Tyreek Evans really isn't the season that really isn't the player that he is when he comes off the bench. He's been struggling starting for the Grizzlies. As far as the Wizards go, I mean, they really haven't been playing good without John Wall at all. Bradley Beal's been trying to pick up the slack for him being gone. And Otto Porter really needs to figure it out. I mean, do you really need John Wall out there in order to like pretty much hold your hand and make you a good player? Because if that's true, then you're not really a good player. You're pretty much having the other guy mask whatever your weakness is and having him pretty much make you look good. So Otto Porter really needs to figure it out, but I got the Wizards winning in this one. Trailblazers heading into Miami facing off with the Heat. I'm going to go with the Heat in this one. I think Trailblazers is tough to pick them, and it's tough not to pick them because they're so inconsistent. I mean, on any given day, they can beat the Warriors, and on any given day, they can lose to the Chicago Bulls. So we'll see how it all ends up. But for this game, I'm going to pick the Heat. I like the Heat going this so far this season. I mean, I know they're 13-13. They're going to be competing for that 8th spot in the East. Let me see where they're at right now. Yeah, so right now they are 13-13, a half game back of Detroit and New York for that 8th spot. Right now, Detroit currently holds the 8th spot over New York, probably based off of some type of tiebreaker or whatever. I'm not sure if these teams played each other in the beginning, early on in the season. But yeah, right now Miami is a half game back. As far as Portland goes, they're the 7th seed in the West. Look at that. The 13-13 team in the East isn't even in the playoff, isn't even in the top 8. But 13-13 team in the West is currently 7th, and if you want to go 14-14, that's the 6th seed in the West. So maybe the East is starting to get better than the West. I always said this would happen. All right, I know people used to like to say, even last year they said, "Oh yeah, the East is garbage. Okay, the West is a whole lot better." The West isn't as good as everyone makes it out to be. Okay, Houston, yeah, they're good. Golden State, good. San Antonio, good. But Minnesota, I guess that's the next borderline team. But Denver, New Orleans, Portland, Utah, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, the Lakers, Sacramento. I mean, those are all teams that are not playing well so far. All right, Denver was expected to be a whole lot better. They're only 15-12 right now. Okay, that barely be good enough for 6th in the or 7th in the East. Right now they're 5th in the West. So I mean, you got teams like Boston in the East right now who are 23-6, Cleveland right there 20-8, Toronto 17-8, Milwaukee's 15-10, Indiana 16-11, Washington's 14-13, but they've been playing without John Wall. Philadelphia's 14-13, Detroit's 14-13, New York 14-13, Miami 13-13. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams right there. Yeah, so 10 teams against the West is 1, 2, 3. So the West has 7 teams at 500 or better. The East has 3 more teams that are 500 better. The East this year is way better than the West. The West really has been overhyped because of the Warriors, all right? Yeah, I'll give you that. Golden State, Houston, actually I don't even know. Right now, the Celtics are the best team in the league. I'm going to say that right now, all right? They beat the Warriors, and I think that they're better than the Rockets. I know that the Spurs are out there, and the Spurs and Celtics went 1-1 so in their 2-game series this season against each other. So, yeah, right now, I mean, the East has probably the top 2 of the top 3 teams in the league right now. I'm gonna go Boston as number 1, then Golden State number 2, and then Cleveland at number 3, given how they play, and they got LeBron James on their team. So right now the East is a whole lot better than the West, and it's time for people to recognize that. I understand the whole last few years or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at Indiana right now, 16-11. They're a whole lot better than Minnesota. I feel they're a whole lot better than Denver, New Orleans, Portland, anyone else in the West. So it's time to give the East their respect. They're the best conference in the league right now. But let's see. Let's go over the rest of these scores right here. Or let's pick the rest of these games. So, yeah, last game I did was the Heat and Trailblazers. Again, I got the Heat in that one. Utah's heading into Chicago, facing off with the Bulls. I got the Jazz in this one without a doubt. I like the way the Jazz play, even though they're 13-14. The Bucks heading into New Orleans, facing off with the Pelicans. Let's see, who do I want in this one? I want this one's a tough one. I'm going to go with the Bucks in this one. The Pelicans are favored, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucks. I think they're going to be able to pull it out. Then you got the Raptors heading into Phoenix, facing off with the Suns. I got Toronto on this one by a lot. And then you got the Hornets going into Houston, facing off with the Rockets. This one's going to be on ESPN. Really, ESPN, this is the game you gave us. At least give us the Bucks and the Pelicans. I wish I could pick these games like for prime time. I would do a whole lot better than whoever does pick them. I know that for a fact. But yeah, you got the Hornets facing off with the Rockets on ESPN. The Hornets are 10-16. The Rockets are 21-4. So you pretty much know my pick for that one. I got the Rockets. James Harden's probably going to go for a triple-double in this one. But yeah, just to recap the games from tonight, my picks. I got the Celtics winning against Denver. I got the Pacers beating the Pacers and Thunder playing on ESPN. I completely forgot about that. But either way, they should have still had Bucks and Pelicans as that second game instead of Houston and the Rockets. But yeah, I got the Pacers beating the Thunder. I'll definitely be watching that one. I got the Clippers beating the Magic, the Wizards beating the Grizzlies, the Heat beating the Trailblazers, the Jazz beating the Bulls, the Bucks beating the Pelicans, the Raptors beating the Suns, and the Rockets beating the Hornets. Hopefully I'm going to go 100% on these games. Probably won't, but we'll see. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? All right, so let's talk a little bit about Marcelo Zuna going to the St. Louis Cardinals, all right? So, yeah, the Cardinals recently just traded for him. I think it was finalized this morning, so he's going to be headed over there. That's another power bat, leaving the Marlins. And I'm starting to think, you know what, for baseball, I mean, baseball isn't the most popular sport anymore or anything like that. The majority of people think it's too boring, and, I mean, for me, too, I mean, I can't sit through 162 games and watch each game. I mean, the Red Sox are my team, so if they're on ESPN if they're on ESPN, then yeah, I'll turn it to there. But if I got something else better to watch, then I'm going to do that, and I'll flip between whatever else I'm watching and the Red Sox game. Because, I mean, it is kind of difficult to sit through a whole baseball game. I mean, going to a game like live and stuff like that, that's a whole lot more funner. But I don't know. It's just baseball's a hard sport to sit through. I mean, I love the sport and all that, but it's just difficult to sit through. I mean, the playoffs is when it gets really the best. And pretty much it gets more exciting. But, yeah, I mean, regular season baseball is kind of hard to get into. But I'm starting, going back to my main point, I'm starting to think that with Stanton going to the Yankees, I mean, you're going to start seeing pretty much the whole Warriors effect that happened or the LeBron effect that happened in the NBA when he went to Miami and pretty much everyone else was building their super team from there. Because now you got KD on the Warriors and pretty much Chris Paul, James Harden on the Rockets. Then you got Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward. I know he's been hurt, but you got them on the same team. And then who else has the Thunder tried doing that whole super team thing. Super team thing. Obviously, it didn't work out for them because they didn't understand that you need players who could play well with each other instead of pretty much picking up 3 guys that pretty much can shoot the basketball, but only do shoot the basketball well if they're playing iso ball. So, yeah, the Thunder really messed that up. Anyone else? I guess not the Spurs. Spurs are the only team really doing it the right way, drafting players and pretty much keeping their core team. Timberwolves tried it with Towns, Jimmy Butler, and Wiggins. And yeah, pretty much everyone right now in the NBA is trying to build a super team. And you might see that in the MLB with Stan going to the Yankees. Like I said, you're going to have him, Judge, and Kerry Sanchez hitting right back to get back probably, unless you throw in Didi Gregorius in there in the middle of them just to break it up a little bit. But I mean, now with the St. Louis Cardinals getting Ozuna, I know the Red Sox are trying to get JD Martinez, and I'm waiting on the Red Sox. I think they're going to make a big move, all right? Now that the Yankees got Stan, the Red Sox have to do something. The fans are waiting on them to do something, and pretty much everyone is waiting for them to do something. If they just get JD Martinez, then they really have no chance. Even getting JD Martinez and Eric Hosmer, that's not going to be enough. They really need to make a big splash in order to compete with the Yankees, because you know what? I understand the goal is to go out and win games and all that stuff, really try not to worry about the other team, but when it comes to the Yankees, the Red Sox need to be as good as them, or at least compete with them and make big moves. I hope this wakes up the rivalry, because it's been pretty dormant the last few years. But anything else going on in sports right now? I'm going to mention that little AFC wildcard spot right now. All right, so I've been talking the last couple of weeks about how the 6th spot is really going to be the only one open, but with the Titans holding that 5th spot, because Jacksonville's definitely going to win that division, with the Titans holding that 5th spot and Buffalo in the 6th spot, those teams, I don't think either of those teams are making the playoffs, okay? I'd be willing to put money on that. The Tennessee Titans, they're going to lose to the Rams, and the Rams and the Jaguars, okay? They got the 49ers this week, so it might even be a tough game in San Francisco because Jimmy Garoppolo's been playing well. So I don't think Tennessee's making the playoffs. I think Miami's going to sweep Buffalo, so Buffalo's not going to make it. I think Oakland's going to drop a game, and if they drop a game, then that pushes them to 8 losses, and that's not going to get you in, all right? And it's really going to come down to Miami, the Chargers, Baltimore, and Kansas City. All right, I think the Chargers are going to win the division, so it's going to come down to Kansas City, Baltimore and Miami for those 2 wildcard spots, I think. I mean, Oakland, I would like to consider them too, but I don't really see them being able to go undefeated against the Cowboys. I think they got the Chargers week 17 and the Eagles too. Yeah, so they got the Cowboys, the Eagles, and then the Chargers. If the Raiders are able to win those 3 games, then I got them moving into the wild card spot. But I just think they're going to drop a game. And like I said, I don't think 8 wins is going to be good enough to get you into the wild card. But if Oakland were to somehow win out, then yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. But like I said, I just don't think it's going to happen. Miami, I think they're going to be able to sweep Buffalo because Nathan Peterman's going to be starting this week, and I think they'll be able to beat Buffalo whether Tyrod or Peterman is starting in week 17 because Miami will be at home. It's really going to come down to that Miami versus Kansas City game in 2 weeks, and winner of that I think is going to get that final wild card spot. But Baltimore, I don't have really any doubts about them. I think they're going to finish the season, the rest of the next 3 games, winning each of them. So they're going to finish 10-6. That'll be good enough to get you in. And if Tennessee, Kansas City, and Miami are both finished at 9-7, then Miami gets in because they're head-to-head tiebreakers. And like I said, I think the Chargers are going to be winning that division. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, Oakland, in order for them to make the playoffs, they got to win out. And if they do that, I'm sure they'll get in. But like I said, we'll see how it all ends up. But that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We talked about the NBA games from yesterday. We talked about Thursday Night Football. Talked about the NFC wildcard, Aaron Rodgers being back, and Dallas being a team that could surprise some people with Ezekiel Elliott coming back, but only if they beat the Raiders on Sunday. And we talked about this segment. We made my picks for the NBA, recapped talked about the scores from the EPL games, talked a little bit about baseball, and talked a little about the AFC wildcard. But like I said, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. This is the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.